Hi, welcome to Know the Signs. I'm Linda Green, and my husband Vincent could not join us today, so you've stuck with me for the next 10 or 15 minutes. And we're going to be picking up where we left off on emotional abuse. And I always want to provide the definition of domestic violence. Domestic violence is a pattern of behaviors that's played out in a cycle designed to gain and maintain power and control of another individual in an intimate relationship. Okay? So when we were talking last week, I think we ended with, Vince, I actually got a chance to talk a little bit about that movie with Julia Roberts, right? Sleeping with the Enemy. And, we talked about that. And I think that he even said, you guys should watch it, right? So if you gotten a chance to watch that, I'm like, yeah, it's definitely a movie that once you see it, I would say you're going to remember it. You're going to remember it. Another thing that we said last week is I shared a quote, and I want to share it again because I feel like when it comes to emotional abuse, this quote to me puts it all in perspective, right? So emotional abuse aims to diminish a person's sense of identity, dignity, and self-worth. So that's what it sets out to do. Okay, to diminish a person's sense of identity, dignity, and self worth. And when you think about our identity and you think about dignity, you think about worth, we need to have a healthy soul to function in life. We need to have a good sense of who we are, right? And why we're here, right? And how we love and just a genuine love for ourselves in order to function properly in this world, right? And to enjoy the life that Christ died to give us. So, but when we're in a relationship with someone who is uh, finding fault with us, um, demeaning, highly critical, very judgmental. They seem to only point out the things that we've done wrong, opposed to acknowledging the things that we've done right or well. Over time, it wears you down. And that pretty much is emotional abuse. And it can begin really subtle to where a person may not recognize it's even happening, right? Um, it could be, oh my goodness, as simple as just like an undermining, right? An undermining of something that, like, say if it's important to me, like I have on these little earrings, right? I guess you can see this ear better, these little earrings. Um, and I just enjoy wearing jewelry, right? But what if the person I'm with begins to find fault with the type of earrings I wear? Like I don't think that looks very good. But this, as simple as that might sound, but what if it's everything? What if it goes from my earrings to my hair to the way I dress? What if that putting me down, right, um, becomes something that happens so frequently until I begin to literally second guess myself? That I can get dressed in the morning and begin to feel uncomfortable, uncertain of should I put this pair of earrings on, or should I wear this, or is this going to be okay, right? Could you imagine the degree of like anxiety that could create on the inside of a person? That uncertainty over a long period of time, that's what someone who experiences emotional abuse will begin to struggle with. They're slowly losing their identity to become something that that abuser wants them to become, okay, or the person doing the harm wants them to become. Um, I've had many moms over the years ask me, what can they do to help their daughters, and not just moms, men as well, fathers too, to ensure that their daughters or their sons don't fall into abusive relationships. What are the signs? Once again, the 3 hour teaching we do called Know the Signs. You know, I believe that one of the biggest things that I've heard and experienced survivors say over the years is there was a real quick move for relationship, right? Like there's a couple dates, and then all of a sudden, how do we get to become boyfriend, girlfriend? I mean, I had a woman tell me years ago that before she knew it, he was kissing her, and she really didn't even want that. Like, so it could be, you'll notice, like, one minute your daughter or your son is meeting somebody, and the next minute, it seems like within a week or two, a couple of weeks, and now they're doing everything together, right? Really, really quick moves, right? Um, Another thing too is people who use power and control and are indeed emotionally abusive, which, by the way, emotional abuse is in 100% of all forms of abuse when it comes to these intimate relationships. So this is what you're gonna see something like this, right? Isolation. Um, Oftentimes, people use power and control. We say abusers, or we say harm doer, the person doing this harm, will seek to isolate the object of their affection, okay, that girlfriend, that boyfriend. They'll seek to isolate and separate them from their family, separate them from their closest friends. And it may not be right away. It's very gradual. It's very seldom. It's not going to be right away. It's not like we go on our first date to, I don't know, Starbucks or something to get coffee, and then all of a sudden your daughter doesn't want to be around the family anymore, or your daughter seems to be different. She seems to be more moody, right, or irritable, or doesn't seem to want to engage in conversation with you. That's not going to happen right away, right? But over time, you will notice a change in that daughter or that son's um, how they interact with you, okay? Because what that abuser is doing, the one doing the harm, is they are systematically, little by little, creating and driving a wedge between you and your son or your daughter. Because if they can isolate your son or your daughter away from you, or your friend, your loved one, your niece, nephew, whoever this person is, if that abusive person, the person who's using power and control, if they can pull your loved one away from you, then there's no one there to love him or her. There's no one there to really recognize that what's happening is wrong, right? And so oftentimes people that are indeed abusive, or they be male or female, it's one of the first things they begin to do is they begin to find fault. They begin to find fault with the people that are in the life of their new love interest. You get it? Especially the people that they know that individual loves a great deal and they mean a lot to them. So that's mom, that's dad, that's siblings, right? That's aunties, uncles, anybody that is really close. That abuser is going to do everything he or she can to drive a wedge, or even just little doubts, like little jabs, if you will. Oh, she did that. Yeah, I noticed that. Or just the littlest things. Oh, I don't really like how she looks at me, or I don't know, I don't feel comfortable at the house, or, when we go places, it seems like she's always just little, you guys, it sounds so middle school, right? It sounds so petty, but over time, and once again, these two people are now in love, right? Over a period of time, they've grown to be in love. So the person that we care for, that we're worried about, right? Because we notice these things in the relationship, we see them changing in front of us. I always say, if you sense something isn't right in your gut, all of a sudden the person that you used to talk to pretty often, since they started dating this new person, they don't seem to want to talk to you, right? Or they're not available, right? Or here's one: when you do sit down and spend time with them, they don't want to talk about how their boyfriend's doing or how their girlfriend's doing. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about that relationship at all. And when people are in healthy relationships, they're excited to tell their friends and their family about how wonderful this person is, right? When people enter into a relationship that is where they're experiencing power and control and they're being mistreated, they don't talk too much about how wonderful that person is, right? That's another thing to watch for. They just won't talk about it. And over time, this the relationship this individual has with the abusive person, it is so incredibly toxic. And like I said before, it really does aim to diminish a person's sense of worth and identity, okay? And even their dignity. If it gets torn down enough over a period of time, when you interact with that person, you're gonna be like, you seem different, right? And what you'll be discovering is that person was once filled with confidence and maybe very joyful. They're a little withdrawn now. They might even be a little more docile because their love interest boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever, has torn them down so much until they don't trust their own decisions. They don't trust their ability to make choices for themselves. So that's the end of our 15 minutes, right? So once again, check out our website, cceff.net, and that's Christ-Centered Empowerment for Families, for additional resources. And also there will be a link to this video. I try to do that, trying to cover all my bases. So anyway, thank you for joining us. See you next time.